Hi, this is Marcus Luden, and I'm just thanking you for watching the Dickinson Public Schools State of the District. Due to some certain circumstances, I was unable to present, but I am so pleased with the work our staff stepped up last minute and were able to complete and present. So hope you enjoy. Thanks a lot and have a grateful day.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the third annual Dickinson Public Schools State of the District. As you can see, I am not Dr. Marcus Luton, our superintendent. Unfortunately, he had a last-minute scenario come up that he could not get out of, so we're here today to fill in for him. It's tough shoes to fill, but we have two very capable people that will be taking over this evening. So with that, I'm going to introduce Melanie Catherine, our Director of Instruction and Curriculum, and Keith Harris, our Assistant Superintendent, and they'll take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm excited to kick us off today by sharing some celebrations across the district, some great accomplishments obtained by our students and our staff. This is a long list, and I don't expect that you can read it from where you're at, but this will be posted on our webpage. I'll just point out a couple of highlights. We've had championships, state championships in gymnastics and softball. We had a state championship in pole vault, so lots of accomplishments in athletics, but also in extracurricular and co-curricular with our TSA, our FFA, our science club. They are doing so many great things. And individual students awards and achievements as well as team awards. And then our staff. Our staff are doing so many great things as well. If you get a chance, please look at this. We had an Advisor of the Year for Skills USA. We celebrate our Teacher of the Year and our Support Staff of the Year each and every year in every school, but also as a district. And we have a high-performing Title I school that's been recognized for 2 years in a row. We're just really proud of all these accomplishments and the great things that are happening in our schools. In addition, we're driven as a district by our vision, which is success for all. So we showed some of the success that happens outside of the classroom, but obviously a lot of work is put in to make sure that our kids are successful in the classroom as well. But successful for all means success for students and for staff, success for our relationship with our stakeholders and our community as well. And we work on that through our mission of preparing students for their future through a safe and supportive environment, and by staying true to our values. Some of the values like communication, which is so important to us, and having a strong culture, by building strong relationships, both in our school with our students and with our staff, but also with our community. And then student learning is obviously at the forefront. The value of integrity drives that, with us making sure that the decisions we make are focused on students at all times. This is so important to us. So those values, the mission and vision, really drive what we do each and every day. I'm also really proud to talk about our school board and the fact that we as a district have a school board that has set goals specifically aligned to student achievement. That's really unique and important for us. These are goals that we monitor and we report to them on a regular basis. So I'll talk about these 3 goals. The first one is in reading, and it's to ensure that students are proficient or higher in reading by grade 3. You might think, now why is that important? Why grade 3? We need to make sure that those foundational skills for reading are in place so students are equipped with the skills they need for future learning. And obviously above grade 3, that's extremely important. Second goal is in math, to ensure that students perform proficient or higher in math by grade 8. That takes an effort from kindergarten all the way up to reach that goal. Success in math at grade 8 helps to ensure success in Algebra 1. And success in Algebra 1 is an indicator of success in graduation rates and future success past high school. And then the last goal is on improving our indicator of choice readiness. We want to make sure that our students graduating are prepared for their future and for whatever they choose to do. Choice ready, I'll talk a little bit more in another slide, but is an indicator of that readiness, and we want to make sure more and more of our students are prepared for whatever they decide to do after they graduate. Our school board is also integral to the strategic plan. They've adopted a plan that's very concise and has two specific goals. The first goal is that we become a highly reliable school system. And that highly reliable framework has specific criteria that are research-based that help to ensure that schools are successful in what they do. We're really proud to report that our schools have achieved certification in HRS, High Reliability Schools Level 1, which means that they have a safe, supportive, and collaborative school culture. It's not a one and done. We still have to work on that every year, every day, but we're proud that we have things in place to say that we've reached HRS, or we have things in place to be HRS Level 1. Level 2 talks about effective teaching in every classroom. Again, that's something we work on all the time, but our schools have all been recognized at HRS Level 2 as having those criteria in place. And then 3, guaranteed and viable curriculum. Our schools were all recognized as of last year at HRS Level 3 as well. And that means that it doesn't matter what school your child might go to, if they're a third grader, it doesn't matter what teacher they have. The expectations for learning and the way that we measure learning will be the same regardless of the teacher. And so the level of rigor and equity will be in place. We have 2 schools last year that received HRS Level 4, which talks to how we report grading and how we communicate that with parents, student learning. We have 2 more schools that are going to attempt that certification level this year. And so the work continues on this particular goal of the strategic plan through competency-based learning. The second goal of the strategic plan is on establishing authentic communication and engagement with our stakeholders. And we're super proud of the work that we've done on this goal. From this particular presentation, the state of the district, and ensuring that we're communicating that with our stakeholders, but our website, our social media presence, the kindergarten kickoff, which just happened last week, and we had a great turnout where kindergarten students come into schools and are acclimated to what their classrooms might be like. We're really working hard to ensure that our communication efforts with our stakeholders is strong. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the goals the district has had from the 2022 year through 2024. One of those goals was to establish a balanced budget. A couple of years ago, we had a deficit of $1.9 million with a goal to balance that budget by 2024. I can tell you it was a great deal of hard work with our administrators, our teachers and staff, our school board, our business manager to achieve a balanced budget and do it ahead of schedule. That was accomplished in the 22-23 school year, and we're really proud of that. We've been working to improve our school climate, and we've seen great gains in that. We measure that through surveys that are given to our students and our parents and our staff. And again, we're monitoring that and continuing to strive to get better, but really proud of improvements in that goal as well. A couple of years ago, the school district hired Consolidated Construction to do a look at our buildings to see what kind of maintenance and projects need to be in place so that they stay in good shape for the future. They put together a plan for the district, which seemed overwhelming, but with the pass of the bond for the high school, as a district, we're now optimistic that we'll be able to maintain those schools moving forward in a really good shape for student learning and student success. And then our continued work on the strategic plan, we've talked a little bit about those goals, and we're proud of that continued growth in those 2 particular goals. You'll notice that the goal of enhanced student success isn't checked. We've set the bar high on that regard. We know that we need to continue to strive. It is the purpose of our existence as a district, and so ensuring student learning for all students at high levels is critical, and we work on that each and every day. The next slide talks a little bit about that student achievement. So across the top, you're going to see some student achievement data that the state of North Dakota holds us accountable to. ELA is English Language Arts, Math Achievement, and Science Achievement. And you'll see 3 different years of data displayed with our comparison to the state of North Dakota, other schools across the state. We're happy that we're staying consistent with performance across the state, but we definitely are striving for improvements in student achievement. We are also showcasing the ACT composite performance. This is a test that's taken at the high school level. And as you'll see, in comparison with our past achievement data, we've been making steady increases in our ACT composite performance at the high school level. Another measure at the high school level, which we talked about earlier, was the Choice Ready metrics. And you'll notice a couple of different pieces of this. First is essential skills, something that all students need to be successful in whatever their choices are when they leave high school. But then post-secondary readiness, workforce readiness, and military readiness. This is a metric that we're held accountable to through the state of North Dakota, but we also strive and work hard at. In order for students to be considered choice ready, they have to be ready in 2 of the 3 categories of post-secondary, workforce, or military. So they are prepared to make decisions about what they want to do once they graduate. You'll see that we're making gains in most of those areas, and we continue to monitor that and strive to that. Some of those pieces are going to be talked about, in particular workforce ready, when we talk about our Southwest Community, our CTE program on the North Campus. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Harris to continue sharing information with you.
Good evening, and it's good to be with you. I'll tell you, you certainly got the short end of the stick. I'm a poor substitute for Dr. Luton, but we'll try to share some information. For those of you who are baseball fans, you have the top of the order. You have a great leadoff hitter who usually is pretty consistent at getting you on base. That's followed up by the heart of the order. That's going to give you your best shot of getting a run across the plate. And then you got the bottom of the order. Guess where you're at? I'm going to talk a little bit about money. I know that that's always an interesting topic to talk about, and it's as it should be. It's a concern for our patrons. Our district, to run a school district, it costs a lot of money. Our annual expenses are approximately $60,500,000 a year. Of that, approximately 81% of that goes towards people. And what that means is those are committed funds. That's what it costs to pay the benefits, salaries, costs of having a quality staff to teach our kids. And quite frankly, when you look at that and you realize the impact that people have on the lives of kids, you'll realize that 81% is a bargain. It's the best money we spend. So where does that money come from? Well, approximately 60% of that money comes from the state. That comes from the model that the state funds public schools with. Local revenue, or local taxes from our community, makes up about 23%. The federal government gives us about 14% of that money. And then being blessed to live on the west side of the state, we get about 4% of that money from oil and gas. So what does our local revenue look like? What does our school district, what impact does it have on our local budgets? We assess mills as a district, and we assess them for a miscellaneous money, sinking and interest fund, a building fund, and a general fund. And that general fund is where that 23% comes from. And then the last square on this that you can see there is reserves. That's basically the money that we have in the bank that can be used in the event that we need to cover expenses for that are not just in the general budget. So what generates that money? Well, it's kids. The state funds us based on the number of students that we have enrolled. And so enrollment plays a big deal, not only in our funding, but also in our capacity in our buildings, what type of staffing we need. And so it's critical that the district is able to project accurately the number of students that we are going to have in the future. In order to get an accurate projection, the district contracted a number of years ago and has continued a relationship with RSP. That's the name of the company. I don't know what it stands for, but what I do know is they're pretty good at their job. If you take a look at the RSP projections, you can see that they projected since 1920 every year pretty darn close to what our student population, our actual student population was. And if you take away that unpredictable year of COVID, they've been within a single-digit percentage point of being spot on. And so take away that anomaly year of COVID, you can see that our projections are pretty accurate. RSP, for example, projected this year we'd be at 3,964, and we're just a little bit north of that at 4,012. And so, take away that COVID year, our district's back on that growing trajectory of increasing student enrollment. And so that we continue as a district to be proactive in trying to plan for and address the needs of a growing district. And when you take a look at challenges that a district can have, a growing district is a wonderful challenge to have. It beats the alternative. You take a look at the districts around us that don't have that blessing, they would take all the kids we'd send them. Growing district is a good challenge to have. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about facilities. The district maintains currently 6 elementary schools. They maintain a middle school, and they maintain a high school. In addition to that, we have a north campus where the Southwest CTE Center is. We maintain a Hagen building that houses the 2 virtual academies, a community high school, an early childhood program, and an adult learning center. We also have a central administration office and property out on State Avenue for future expansion, and a learning lab on 3rd Street. The way we maintain those buildings is that 10 mil levy. The district has the ability to levy 10 mills. We utilize that money to maintain those facilities. The addition, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, of our northern campus, where the CTE Center has done it's been a fantastic thing for our district in not only capacity issues that it has helped alleviate, but it's also freed up the district with the ability to sell some buildings and facilities that we really were more of a liability than an asset to the district. So in the last year, we've been able to sell the bus barn, the old bus barn, the old Steffes building and duplex, and we're really excited about the fact that we were able to partner with our friends at Trinity and sell them the Hagen football field. And so that guarantees that field will continue its tradition of being a football field and a green space for our community. In summary of our facilities, in all honesty, they're in pretty good shape. The district has done a good job of utilizing that 10 mil levy to maintain the buildings. The district continues to keep a close eye on capacity. As our students' enrollment ticks up, we watch that building capacity. Right now, if our kindergarten incoming kindergarten numbers stay relatively level with where they've been the last couple of years, we feel comfortable that our capacity at the elementary and also at the middle school will continue to be adequate to address those student needs. Our real challenge is at the high school, as everyone knows, and thanks to the support of the community, we are very excited about the ability to move forward with a high school renovation and construction project. And with that, we feel comfortable that we will be able to continue to maintain the rest of the district facilities with the 10 mill levy that we currently have in place. Moving on, I said I was going to talk a little bit about that North Campus. We're excited about the prospects and the future of that. We're very impressed with Mr. Anderson and the work that he's done in bringing that facility online, in building relationships and partnerships with all of Southwest North Dakota. We currently have 7 school districts that utilize that campus. Since beginning the renovation and bringing that property online, the district has raised over $22 million that has not come out of the taxpayer's pocket in order to renovate and bring that online. Currently, we have 2 buildings up and functioning out there and holding classes, both at the high school level, and DSU has now started and began offering courses in welding out there at that facility as well. We have roughly 120 to 130 students every class block, or so every hour, that makes their way up to that North Campus, which has provided a lot of capacity at our high school. And next fall, with the completion of our 3rd building out there, Building C, we expect that number to more than double, to where we'll have over 200 students per hour that will make their way to take advantage of opportunities at that North Campus. We have, thanks to the efforts of our CTE, Southwest CTE, we have over 60 students who are involved in a works-based learning. We have the first heavy equipment program in North Dakota, and the future looks bright. What we're going to be doing next year and moving forward is even more exciting. So with that, we've had a good year. We've been led well. Like I say, I'm a poor substitute for Dr. Luton. I wish you could have had the opportunity to hear from him tonight, but we've been led well. Our board has provided fantastic leadership and governance. Our staff has come together and is working hard to ensure a bright future for our students. But having a successful last year does not guarantee a successful future. And fortunately, we are led by a board and an administrator who is looking to the future. Exciting projects that builds that future. We're excited about the project at the high school and the pre-construction work that is taking place there. We're excited about the completion of that 3rd building out at the up at our North Campus at the Southwest CTE Building C, and the opportunities that's going to provide for students. We're excited about the work of the business office as they continue to build and strengthen the financial solvency of our district, streamline our procurement processes, and provide great leadership in our budgeting efforts. We're excited about the safety projects and how we can enhance the safety of our students while they're in our buildings. We're excited about the opportunity next year to go through the accreditation process and show the state and the world the wonderful things that we're doing here in Dickinson Public Schools. The strategic plan that we've had for the last 5 years is coming up for a renewal and a revisit. We're excited about the prospect of taking a look at where we want to go in the future with a strategic plan and working with our board, our administrators, and our community in identifying the goals for the future. And most of all, we're excited about just simply getting better. We're not only excited about it, we're committed to it. The idea of being better, because the students of our community deserve nothing less. Hopefully that provides you some information, and I'll turn the time back over. We're now back at the top of the order. So.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harris. Again, I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. It's so important to be involved and learn about what the schools are doing and to stay up with the most recent news. So thank you. Again, I want to extend Dr. Luton's sincerest apologies for not being here this evening. You know, if he's not here, there's something important going on. So we want to thank you again. Thank you for our viewers at home. And at this time, we'll take any questions if you have any. Mr. Rummel.
I have 3 questions for you, and maybe you can or cannot answer these.
I will find someone who can.
Okay, 23%, which is your property tax revenue for the Dickinson Public School District, would you have a breakdown as to how much comes from residential, commercial, centrally assessed, and agriculture?
That would be a great question for our business manager, Ms. Hunter.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Hunter. I'm the business manager for Dickinson Public Schools, and I'm going to try to answer your question with all my numbers up in front of me, Mr. Rummel. So the majority of our money is coming from commercial property. It draws a higher percentage, and I really don't feel comfortable saying the exact percentages without that in front of me, but I would say probably over half of it is going to be through commercial. The rest of that's going to be in residential. The second highest is residential, and then we go to, what were the other 2 you wanted to know?
Centrally assessed.
Centrally assessed.
And agriculture.
Agriculture, and then centrally assessed is how it goes. Yeah.
So if you would take a follow-up question.
Yes.
If we eliminate property taxes, the initiated measure, which is going to be on possibly the ballot here in November, what other taxing authority does the Dickinson Public School District have for future years?
We do not have, just so the viewers at home can hear, the question was, out of the 23%, the first question was, out of the 23% of local revenue that we bring in, so our levy amounts, what is the breakdown between residential, commercial, agriculture, and centrally assessed, and in order of how much, who brings in the highest to the lowest. And so that was the first question. And now his second question is, again,
If the initiated measure passes in November for the elimination of property taxes, what taxing authority do you have as a school district for future years?
the question is, what authority would we have as a taxing authority if property tax measure makes the ballot and were to pass in November of this year? It would be devastating. That's a strong word, and it would be devastating to our budget. As a taxing authority, the only one that we are legally able to utilize is through property tax. The rest of that, we rely on grants from the federal government and the per pupil funding that we get from the state. So we cannot tax any other way. We don't have sales tax. We don't have use tax. We are not able and allowed to, per century code, to utilize any of that funding. So when you look at that, that's 23% of our budget that would go away.
And finally, if I could.
Yes?
You are currently levying 10 mills for your building fund. You're allowed to go to 20 mills. My question for you is, are you adequately, I know Mr. Harris says the buildings are in pretty good shape, but there's also, you have a lot of buildings.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if you really do have adequate resources to take care of everything with just the 10 mills. And have you considered going to 20 mills?
So the question is we have quite a few properties, and that 10 mil levy that Assistant Superintendent Harris spoke about, and that slide that shows those levies, Mr. Rummel pointed out that that amount next to it shows that we could go up to 20. The only way that we could do that, Mr. Rummel, is through a vote of our patrons. They're the only ones that can authorize that levy to go up to 20. Century Code is allowing school districts to have their property owners vote in up to 20 mills, but ours, for Dickinson Public Schools, our boundary of constituents have voted in 10 mills. And with the 10 mills, the follow-up to the second part of your question would be, obviously, we do the best that we can as Superintendent Harris insinuated earlier, but obviously, if we could have more, we could use those dollars considerably, especially with the properties, and as they age, it costs more to keep them up and to keep them running. We don't make it by on the money that we get. It's hard. Mr. Harris does an amazing job at making those dollars go very far. Our buildings are in so much better shape because Mr. Harris, he takes a lot of care with them and taking those dollars as far as he can go.
If you don't mind, one final question.
Yes, Mr. Rummel.
Would you consider taking it to a vote of the people for a 1 year or 2 year situation? The reason I've asked your school board to consider that is the initiated measure says that the state will replace your mill levy at whatever it's at for 2024 going into the future. You could do the suggestion is to try and capitalize just in case that passes. If it doesn't pass, let it expire, put a sunset on it.
Senator Rummel made a really good point, and his question is, in my opinion, would I think that our community, would they be interested in possibly having on the ballot a question to have our mill levy temporarily for 1 or 2 years go up to the 20 mills? If that measure for property tax elimination were to pass in November, the wording currently states that anything that has been approved by our citizens, that's what we would need to make up. The state or whatever it would shake out, I guess, at that point, to come in and take care of those funds. I think that there's a lot of questions around that, Mr. Rummel. I think that that's a great option, and I think that that's definitely something that our school board will have to wrestle with if that were to come up. If it makes the ballot and it were to pass, then yeah, those are all things that we really need to consider. Like you said, it could pass in November, so those are things we should consider much sooner than later. So I'm sure that we'll be having a lot of conversations about that in the coming months. But great point. Any other finance questions? Okay, thanks.
All right, if there's no other questions, again, thank you for coming, and we will see you all next year.